What's up, guys? This is Coach Grant with First Down Training, and today we're going to be talking about some of the most common mistakes that athletes will make in the recruiting process that prevents them from getting a scholarship offer. So I hope this video gives you a ton of value. Hope it can teach you a lot about the recruiting process and what college coaches are looking for. But also, fellas, something that college coaches look for is speed. Do you have that takeaway speed, that second gear that you could kick into? So if you guys would like to get faster and want 100+ speed and agility drills that you can do with the exact sets and reps mapped out, video examples of each drill, check out that very first link in the description below. You will get a ton of value out of our First Down speed training program. So again, very first link in that description below. If you'd like to get faster, let's get started with this video. All right, guys, so throughout the course of this video, we're going to be talking about the correct camps that you should be attending, the incorrect camps that you should be attending as an athlete. But first, we're going to be talking about some of the common little mistakes that wide receivers, all positions, wide receivers, quarterbacks, all positions make that affect them long-term. They may not think it's a big deal, but it affects them crazy long-term and ruins a lot of relationships with coaches. Number one, lying. You should never lie about your height and about your weight. Everybody says they weigh a little bit more than what they do. Everybody says they're a little bit taller than they are, but don't overdo it. So what I mean by that, I'm 5'9". I used to say I was 5'11". I think that might be pushing it a little bit because when people met me, they were like, "You're not 5'11", right? If I was saying that I was 6'2", bold-faced lie. Guys, they're going to meet you in person. They are not going to give you a scholarship offer without meeting you in person. It's the dumbest thing in the world to lie about it like that. Give yourself maybe 1 inch, 2 inch. It's totally fine. For the most part, you should be completely honest. And if you do have good attributes, you should be honest, right? 100% be honest. It never pays to lie. But if you are going to lie, don't overdo it, okay? Second thing, don't lie about your weight. Guys, they are going to meet you. If you're 140 pounds, do not say you're 180 pounds. Nobody's going to believe that when they meet you, and you immediately lose credibility. Now, the other thing, too, don't lie about your 40 time. A lot of guys will put in their Twitter bio, "I run a 4.440. No, you don't, because a college coach didn't see you run a 4.440. If they don't see it and there's no film of it, like legitimate film, like film of the stopwatch and like a coach showing the stopwatch and like it looks legit, they don't believe that you run the 4.440 anyways because they didn't see it with their own eyes and it wasn't at a camp. And even if it's a stat from a camp, like let's say you go to an exposure camp, and we're going to talk about how that's one of the biggest scams in the freaking world in a second in this video. But let's say you go to an exposure camp and they time your 40 and they're like, "Oh, we're going to send it out to coaches." Bro, it makes the exposure camp look better if you ran a high 40 time, because guess what? Like, let's say, oh, well, you get an offer. The camp is going to say, "Oh, he ran a 4.4 at our camp. You should come out. We're getting these guys offers if you're fast, this, that, and the third." So they will lie. Exposure camps will lie. I've seen high school head coaches freaking lie before. So you never want to lie. Honesty is the best policy. Let your play speak for itself if you don't have those types of attributes. All right, so a second little mistake that athletes will make, and again, we're going to get into the camp stuff, the exposure camps, the college camps that you should be going to help you with the recruiting process and the biggest mistakes that guys will make at those camps. But second little mistake that guys don't realize, being a spam robot on Twitter. So Twitter, X, or whatever the hell you want to call it, but let's say you're on X. And let's say you're verified and you could DM whoever, right? So X changed, like Twitter, you didn't have to be verified to be able to DM whoever you wanted to. Now they changed it where certain accounts can't receive a DM unless you are verified. So let's say you're paying for that verification, you're paying the $8 a month. It's not that much. It's worth it if you're putting in work with the DM game. But if you're putting in work with the DM game, like so many, like athletes, like Josh Allen, for example, like I think they said he emailed like freaking hundreds of coaches like without a response. Like, so if you're putting in that kind of work, don't be a spam artist. I get it. Like, it's tough to reach a bunch of people and write a personal message to them, but that personal message, a college coach knows that because he can tell the difference. He gets 100 spam messages a day, like legitimately, guys. Like, I'm not even exaggerating. Like, because everybody talks about DMing coaches. Think about how many high school athletes there are that want to play at the next level, have the same goals as you, and have heard advice from somebody like me saying, "Hey, DM coaches and reach out to them." So what do? I'm going to DM every single coach I find, and I'm going to send them the same spam message like, "Hey, I would love to play for your school. I'm this, and this class of this." And it's real generic. Guys, it ruins a relationship with the coach. They don't like, okay, how would you feel? Think about this. How would you feel? You're talking to a girl, right? A lot of you are in high school. Let's say you're talking to a girl and she sends you a spam message that she sends to everybody else. Probably wouldn't make you feel very good. Same thing with a college coach. He does not want to hear this same spam message over and over again from people. He wants to hear a real message so you develop a real relationship with the actual college coach. So make sure you're not spamming him. That's the easiest way to ruin a relationship and never have a relationship again with that college coach. All right, guys, let's talk about camps. So the first one I'm going to talk about is college camps, the mistakes that guys will make with college camps, and then I'm going to talk about exposure camps and why I feel like that is the biggest waste of time and money that you can have as a player. So college camps. Guys play the college camp game incorrectly. If you are a player, let's say you're a player, you're a sophomore, junior, maybe it's your first year on varsity, you have no communication with college coaches. But you want to go out to, like, let's say you live in Colorado. Let's say you want to go out to Deion's camp at the University of Colorado, and you have never spoken to Deion, you've never spoken to his receiver coach, his DB coach, special teams, whatever coach that is your like position coach or the recruiting coordinator for Colorado, never spoken to any of them. They don't even know who you are. Biggest waste of time you could possibly do, because they already have their guys picked out. You need to understand that. Like, I'll tell you a story. So I looked into having an exposure camp where it would be small group setting, only like 10 athletes per position. So like, let's say you're a receiver, right? You would only be with 9 other receivers at this camp. And my goal was to be able to get Division I college coaches, Division II, Division III, all over the place. And this is still in the works, by the way, because we can do it with Division II and Division III and NAIA. So this is in the works. So stay tuned for that. But anyways, D1 coaches, I reached out to a couple of them and I talked to them, guys that I know. I'm like, hey, like, would you be interested in something like this? Is this something even possible? Like, we could possibly pay you for your time, right? They said that paying them for their time is actually illegal. But number 2, they will not even go to a camp. They will not even go to the camp. And this means other colleges, like when colleges have camps, when they have other coaches come to their school, like let's say it's a small Division II and they have a bunch of D1s out to their school. The only reason they can do that is because it's a college. It's not an off-brand thing. But the only reason that they go to those is because recruits are going to that camp that are already on their recruiting board. So that means that they know guys ahead of time who they want to recruit. So if you're just a guy who's going to show up and your plan is to just get noticed, the only way you get noticed is if you're just a freak eye test athlete, which means you're crazy tall, crazy fast, good size, good build, you patch the eye test skill-wise, or you run an insane 40 time. If you're not that guy, you are wasting your time and your money. Not to mention travel expenses if you are traveling to these types of camps. Guys, they already have their dudes picked out. They already have the guys. So it's no point in going to those camps if you don't have prior communication with the college coach. Now, let me give you another scenario. Let's say a college coach came to your school and you met him, shook his hand, talked to him. Immediately after that meeting, you should follow that guy on Twitter. And you shouldn't DM him your highlights and be like, hey, watch my highlights. Watch it. You should DM him and be like, hey, coach, what camps are you going to this year? And you talk and be like, okay, I'm going to make sure that I'm there. So now he knows you. You have that relationship. You have that connection. Date gets a little closer. You maybe hit him up again and be like, hey, coach, I'm coming to this camp. Look forward to seeing you again, etc. XYZ. So he knows you. He's at least seen you before. And that's how you go. You go to camps where you have prior communication with the college coach. If you don't have any communication with college coaches, then you should go to these types of camps that are local to you. Don't break the bank traveling everywhere. Go to realistic schools. Preferably satellite camps where there's multiple coaches there. Like, so let's say it's that small school that has a bunch of coaches there. Let's say you have no prior communication. Don't go with the hopes of I'm going to get noticed and get an offer. Go to meet people. Go to meet coaches, shake their hand, follow them on Twitter, put a face to the name, and then hit them up right after the camp just so you have some kind of line of communication. Because a lot of times coaches don't even open up their request DM. But if you follow them right after and you DM them and say, hey, I was at the camp, thank you, you might get a response because it's not a spam message. It's not a, hey, what can you do for me type of message. It's a legitimate message where it's like he might open it and it'll go into his actual accepted requests. So when you do get film or when you do want to send him something like, hey, check out my highlights, it's my mid-season, whatever it is, he might actually see it and he might actually remember you and maybe he watches it, right? That's how the process goes. That's how the camp game goes. So do not waste your time going to these big camps. It's just a money grab. At that point, guys, they already have their recruits, and the recruits that they have were probably already at the campus before you even got there, getting a tour and meeting everybody. So don't waste your time, please. All right, so let's talk about exposure camps. Exposure camps, biggest scam of them all. Don't go. I think it's stupid. I don't recommend going to any type of exposure camp where there are no college coaches there, right? Like how I mentioned in the last thing, I thought about doing an exposure camp, right? Or that we're gonna do an exposure camp, but it's not like these BS ones where we're doing combine work for an hour and a half, standing in line, running a 40-yard dash cold, where my goal is, hey, I have a Rivals recruiting rep or an ESPN recruiting rep there, and they're going to scout you guys and give you your star rating. None of that BS, dude. Like, it's the stupidest thing in the world. It's the biggest waste of money, money grab. People are taking money from kids and families that could be used to put food on the table and pay bills, and they're taking their freaking money for no apparent reason, just to make a quick bag. I don't know how these people sleep at night that put on these exposure camps like that. The camps that we're going to do, we're actually going to have college coaches there, and you're going to actually get to meet college coaches. It's going to be one-on-one attention. College coaches are going to be coaching the camp, and college coaches are going to be there scouting the camp. So that's a real camp. That's a camp that you should probably think about going to. Non-biased either. Even if it wasn't my camp, I would tell you to go to that type of camp, because at least you're getting to meet college coaches, get to shake their hand, get to get their info, and they get to see you in a small group environment. It's not 300 kids where you're just sitting there and you're just a number on a t-shirt, right? So these exposure camps, guys, big fat waste of money and time. I've seen exposure camps legitimately that have promised that, oh, we'll get a Rivals recruiting rep, 24/7 sports show up. All these kids come out and they don't even show up. Guys, it's a total money grab. And then they promise you that, oh, we're going to get your combine scores and we're going to send them out to college coaches. Why the hell couldn't you do that? The college coaches aren't even there to see you run the 40 time. So what does it matter? It could be a total lie. They're not going to believe it, nor even freaking open it. Guys, college coaches already have their guys that they go to if they want to know about a kid or they want to know about recruits. And usually it's high school head coaches. So you go waste all this money at, like, You Are Athlete. I'm sure you guys have heard of that. Freaking scam of a century, bro. Like, what they'll do is they'll give a kid free. Well, like, they'll give them an invite, right? They'll invite a bunch of kids, but they have to pay. I invite you to pay $250 or $300, whatever the price is. But the big guys who have the offers, they're there for free, because what You Are Athlete does is they take a bunch of photos of the guys, post on their Instagram, and anytime that kid gets an offer, they try to claim him. They try to go, oh, he got this offer after attending our camp. Bullshit. He was going to get that offer anyways. He was already getting recruited before he even went to your camp. So they do that so they could get the $250 out of you, so they could bankroll themselves and make a ton of money. It's a total scam. Nobody has ever gotten recruited legitimately from one of those camps. Now, I get the question all the time, well, what about the Rivals camps or the 24/7 camps where I could get ranked? Those might have some weight. Those might be okay. I still don't think you should waste your time. I think there are better ways to get recruited. And I think if you go to one of those camps and you perform really well, but you have no film to back it up, nobody cares. Nobody cares. The guys that are going to those camps and getting all the publicity, the videos, didn't pay. They already had film and they were already getting recruited. It's all one big fat scam, you guys. So I don't recommend that. If there is an exposure camp out there, like the one I was talking about where college coaches are there, great. Go to those. Those are beneficial because you actually get to meet college coaches and be in front of them in a setting like that, preferably a small group setting. But if it's not, don't waste your time and your money. All right, guys, really want to thank you for watching. I really appreciate it. If you have any questions at all, don't hesitate. Leave those in the comment section below. We always appreciate the feedback. It's always great to hear from you. And again, if you'd like 100+ speed and agility drills, all mapped out with the exact sets and reps to do and video examples of each drill, check out that very first link in the description below. I'll see you guys next time.